All right, in this video, I'm going to show you how to find a trig ratio when you're given a trig ratio. And right now we're just going to focus on quadrant one rather than delve into all the different quadrants, but the method would be exactly the same. So you can see that I have a problem here. Find the exact value of cosecant of A in quadrant one in simple radical form with a rational denominator given that cotangent of A is 8/5. So we're going to start by processing this information. Most of these words that seem really fancy are just telling us how they want us to express our answer. Radical form means that we're going to have radicals or square roots in our answer. Rational denominator is kind of reminding you that it's illegal to have a radical in the denominator of the fraction. So we'll kind of get to that as we go through. And again, exact value means no decimals. So if we look at cotangent of A, that's the angle, and they're telling us that the cotangent is 8/5. So for the cotangent, we want to think of this as the reciprocal ratio of tangent. Okay, tangent of an angle is y/x. So the cotangent is going to be the flip, the reciprocal. So it's going to be x/y. So draw your picture. What are you drawing? You're drawing a right triangle. I like to put theta in. They're telling us that it's actually angle A, so I'm going to put A as the vertex. And now I just want to process it. If this is my reference angle, my x value is 8. That's this one here. My y value is 5. So that's what this information is telling you. It's saying, hey, draw a right triangle, put in the values for the correct legs or sides of the triangle that you have. And now what we want to do is find this one here. We want to find our hypotenuse. Okay, so we're just going to use our Pythagorean theorem. So let's say that I just call this, I don't know, I'll just call it M for now. So M is going to equal, I'll do this one out. M squared equals leg squared plus leg squared. I have a restless pup. If you hear her in the background, it's just what is happening right now. 8 squared is 64 plus 25. So we're going to have, that will actually equal 89. So M will be the square root of that. And then just label that. Okay, so we don't have to do really any other fancy math. We just have to go up and see what they want us to answer. They want us to answer the cosecant of A. So again, process this. If right triangle trig is new to you or the 6 trig ratios are new to you, this is the reciprocal. Cosecant is the reciprocal ratio of sine. Okay, so sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So the cosecant is hypotenuse over opposite. So if we just go back to our triangle that we drew, we need the hypotenuse on top. That is the square root of 89. The opposite side from the reference angle is 5. So let's double check. Do we have the exact value? Yes, we don't have any decimals. Simple radical form, we can't simplify the square root of 89. And just double check that says rational denominator. That means that we just have to have an integer in the bottom. We can't have a decimal or a radical in the bottom. So we are done with that problem. Let's do another one. I'm not going to rewrite all of the quadrant one, simple radical form, rational denominator. That is just going to be assumed in these problems that I'm going to go over with you. Okay, so for this next one now, let's say that we were given that the cosecant of angle A equals the square root of 85/6. And they want us to find the cotangent of angle A. I don't know why she's whining. I honestly don't know. So again, start by drawing your right triangle. This is going to be angle A, or you can throw a theta in there. That's your reference angle, so you want to kind of anchor that down. Cosecant is the reciprocal of the sine. Sine is, so again, if it helps you, if you're kind of new, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So the reciprocal means to flip it over. So this is hypotenuse over opposite. So just label the triangle based on this reference. The hypotenuse is here. The opposite is straight across, and that is going to be a value of 6. And what we need to do is find this leg also. Okay, so the square root of 85 squared equals 6 squared plus m squared. Square root of 85 squared gives us 85. That's 36. When you subtract this, you're going to get 49. So m will equal 7. Okay, so the first step, I guess, to say would be to if you want to write down some steps, the first step would be to figure out the ratio given in terms of like opposite, hypotenuse, and adjacent. That would be your first step. Second step would be to draw the right triangle. Third step is to find all sides of that right triangle. Usually, obviously, there's only one missing each time. And then fourth step is finally to find the ratio that they're asked. Find ratio needed. And that's the step that we're on. So we figured out the ratio given. We determined it was H over O. Hang on a second. My battery is dying, so I'm going to pause this. All right, so we do have that. We found the second leg by using Pythagorean theorem. That was after we drew it out. And now we're on step 4, find the ratio needed. The problem is asking us to find cotangent. This is the reciprocal of tangent. So the tangent is opposite over adjacent. So the cotangent is going to be the adjacent over the opposite. And just flip it. So if we go back to our triangle that we drew, to find the cotangent, gosh, I'll just finish it up here, I guess. Based on the reference angle of A, the adjacent is 7. And then the opposite side is 6. Okay, and that would be our final answer. I'm going to do another one. For this problem here, let's see if I have any prepared that are a little bit different. This one here, we are told that the secant of angle A is square root of 97. Kind of ugly, right? Over 4. And they want us to find the cotangent of angle A. All right, so again, the first step, analyze the ratio they gave us. Secant is the reciprocal function. Sometimes in class I call it the sister function of cosine. Okay, so cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So the secant is the reciprocal of that. That just means that you're flipping it upside down. So the top number is your hypotenuse, the bottom number is your adjacent. Second step is to draw that triangle. It really doesn't matter the orientation, like which way you face this triangle. The main thing is that you have the right angle and your reference angle. Okay, so once we have the triangle, let's put in the sides. Our hypotenuse is here. That's the square root of 97. The adjacent is 4. So that's this bottom side here. Step 3 is to find any missing sides of our triangle. So we're looking for our leg. And again, I'm going to use Pythagorean theorem. So hypotenuse squared equals leg squared plus leg squared. So square root of 97 squared equals 4 squared. I'm just going to keep using m for whatever reason. Square rooting and squaring, just they cancel each other out. So we have 97. 4 squared is 16 plus m squared. So if we do this subtraction, we're going to get 81 equals m squared. If we square root both of those, we're just going to take the positive square root because we could also use -9 as an answer for this, but we're not going to have a leg that's -9. So let's label that up. That's m and that is 9. Okay, so the last step is to look at the ratio that they want. They wanted us to find the cotangent. This is the reciprocal function of tangent, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. So this one will be adjacent over opposite. Go back to the triangle, find the adjacent. We have that labeled as 4. The opposite is 9, and we are finished with that one. We're going to do one more problem. It's not going to change it all, but I want to make it so that at the end we have to kind of deal with that rationalizing the denominator piece, which we haven't done yet on any of these examples. I wouldn't mind it if you hit pause after I write down the problem and then try it yourself and go as far as you can with it. So this time, I'll take this problem. We know that cotangent of A is 2/5, and they want us to find, let's see, the sine of A. Okay, so again, first step, look at the information that they gave us. They did tell us originally in the problem. I said I wasn't going to write it out for every problem, but this is in quadrant 1, so we don't have to worry about signs and that sort of thing. Cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. So this is going to be adjacent over opposite. Draw your right triangle. Here's angle A. So then the opposite is 5. The adjacent is 2. So that's the first step. Second step was to draw the triangles. Third step is to find this hypotenuse. So m squared equals 5 squared plus 2 squared. M squared equals 29. So m will be, we can't simplify the square root of 29, so we're just going to leave it there. It looks kind of ugly, but get used to ugliness in trig, at least as far as numbers go. Trig is actually beautiful itself, but that's fine. Last step is you want to evaluate what we're looking for. We were given this information. This is what we're looking for. We know that sine is opposite over hypotenuse. I'm going to write it down here so I have a little more space. Sine of A equals opposite over hypotenuse. Go back to the triangle. From our reference angle, the opposite is 5. The hypotenuse is square root of 29. And again, what they said for all of these problems is that you have to have a rational denominator, simplified radical form. That's kind of code word for saying, excuse me, you can't have a square root in the bottom. All right, I do have another video on how to rationalize a denominator, but what you want to do is multiply it by the square root. She's really fine. I don't know if you can hear her whining. She's just being weird. When we multiply the bottom, square root of 29 times the square root of 29, we're squaring something that's square rooted, so they cancel out, and we just have a 29 on the bottom. The top, we can't multiply an inside number with an outside number, so we just show it like this. Okay, and then we are done with that. All right, so this should help you do today's assignment, I hope. And if you have any questions, write them down, and we will go over them. Thank you.